Welcome to today's tutorial. In today's tutorial, I intend to show you how to back up Microsoft Exchange at both the message and database levels. As of today's recording in October of 2015, the Data Protection Appliance can back up Exchange at the message level in Exchange 2003, 2007, and 2010, and at the database level in Exchange 2003, 2007, 2010, and 2013. In order to back up both levels, you do need to have a client installed for both the 32-bit and the 64-bit agent. And this is because the agent level backups, the mailbox level backups require a plugin, which is a 32-bit plugin, and the database level backups require a plugin, which is a 64-bit plugin, and so they require their respective agents. This is true for all levels except for 2003. If you've watched my tutorial for how to install a agent and do a backup for basic Windows agents, the initial part of the setup is very similar, but there are some particulars regarding how to do the setup specifically for, and particularly for the mailbox level backups, that make setting up the backup for this a little more complicated. So I'll go ahead and walk you through how to do that now. The particulars do change depending on which version of Exchange you're using, so I will go ahead and use Exchange 2010 here for my example, since that seems to be probably the most commonly used in my experience. If you have a different version and would like some additional assistance with that, feel free to contact our support team for additional assistance. In order to set this up, the basic setup is the same though. You still use the same three-step process, where first you set up the client on the appliance, then you install the software on the server that you're going to do the backup on, then you come back to the appliance to set up the particulars of the backup. So I'll go ahead and I'll start that process now. First you come here on the actions and you set up the clients. You can again name this anything you'd like. But once you have named it, you can't change it without deleting the client and starting over. When you're creating a client like this that's going to use the two different agent versions, and you want to select the operating system that matches the OS version that you're using, not the agent that you're going to be connecting to. So in this case, I'll be using a 64-bit OS of Windows, so I select Windows 64. We'll want to use the address of the server, so we'll go ahead and select here 2.143. And you can select whatever schedule you like. I'll leave it on the monthly schedule. Because again, we're going to require two different clients, I will set up the second client now, so I can just go ahead and do both at once. And I'll just name one Exchange DB for database, MB for mailbox. And just give them both a quick description so I know what's what in the future. Again, even though this one's going to connect to the 32-bit agent, I'm going to select 64-bit because that's the version of Windows I'm using. Now, one change before I proceed is I do need to change the port that the appliance is going to communicate to one of the agents over. It doesn't matter which one you change, it just has to be one of them. And that's just so that there isn't a conflict later. It doesn't particularly matter what port you choose as long as that port isn't already in use on the agent's server. So the other ports that the appliance uses to communicate between the appliance and the server is 9101 and 9103. And of course 9102 is going to be used by the other agent, so generally we just recommend 9202, but it can be whatever port you'd like, other than those others that aren't already in use by something else. So 9202 is what I will use here. Then I can apply the change, activate the configuration, and then proceed to installing the software. I've already downloaded the software to the server just for time's sake, and then I'll proceed with the installation. Just like before, we could go ahead and accept the terms. I will skip this server's got SQL installed on it, but I'm not interested in SQL, so I'll skip that for now. And then proceed. This server has had the software installed on it once before, so once I launch the agent configuration, it's going to have some information here, but this information will be incorrect. So we will skip or run the wizard again and rejoin it to the new appliance. Whenever you manually enter a client name here, this is going to be case sensitive, so you do have to have the correct case for everything. And for the 64-bit client, up to this point, this is pretty well finished now. There's nothing special you have to do at this point. For the 32-bit agent, though, there is going to be some additional work we need to do on this before we go back to the client and the appliance side. So again, we'll go ahead and agree to everything. This has a blurb about SQL again, and we also do need to install the plugin for Exchange as well as Mappy. It'll check and see if the system has Mappy installed, and if not, it'll download Mappy and install that as well. Here it says that in order to get access to the mailboxes to actually back up the messages, we have to make the agent here run as a specific user. This user needs to have a mailbox inside of your Exchange environment. That mailbox cannot be hidden from your address book, and the account, that user needs to have specific user permissions. It needs to be, in our case, since we're using 2010, needs to be a member of the Exchange Trusted Subsystem group, and it needs to be a member of the administrators group for the appliance, for the server that it's running on. I've already got a user for that, and I'll go ahead and pull that up here and show you. We've got this user here, Infrascale Backup. It is a member of, I'll add it to the Exchange Trusted Subsystems. And it is already a member of the local administrators. And to make the appliance run as that agent, we come to the Service Control tab, we stop it, select Other Account. You could select Browse, check names. And then we can start the agent service. And we'll check here. It does have a mailbox. And the mailbox is not hidden from any Exchange lists. So. And you can come under the Exchange Mailbox Backup tab here, and you can look and see we've got the various mail stores and mailboxes listed here. So here you can select that we don't want to back up specific users if you want to exclude certain users. But there's more to it than this now. So now that we've got that selected, you can come back to this tab here. I forgot to rejoin the 32-bit agent, since that still had the information from before. This still has the old information from the previous install. And then this just takes a moment to check in. And then this status should change from the exclamation point, which is generally a password mismatch, to the green check. There we go. Now we can go ahead and change the particulars. So now we can go through. We'll start with the mailbox, since it's usually the easier of the two to configure. So we'll come in here. You can set any of these settings you'd like, the retention, whether you want it to replicate, etc. Inside here, you want to set it to do not use VSS, because VSS can interfere with Exchange backups, the Exchange Mailbox backups. Set that you want to do the Exchange Mailbox plugin, and then delete that you want to back up any flat files. So the Mailbox level plugin and the Mailbox level agent is only going to do the Mailbox backups. If you want to get any flat files on the Exchange server, you'll want to do that under the database backup. So this is the server. You'll come to the database server, and again, set any of the particulars on this tab you want, and then come in here. For 2010, you do want to use the service with all non-excluded writers. 2010 relies on the VSS writer for Microsoft Exchange in order to get the database. You also want to check the box for Exchange database down here to tell it to actually get the database writer. And then also now, if you want to include any files on the disk, if you want to get any flat files for the backup, if you want to get the C drive, D drive, any other disks included, then you will edit that and add that to this list here. And then you can include that as well here. Once you have everything set, if you've made any changes that need to be applied, they will include the little delta symbol here, and it'll have the little delta symbol over on the left over here. You can apply those changes and activate your configuration, and your appliance is now configured and ready to run backups of the Exchange server. Once that's finished, you'll be ready to go, and your backups will run on whatever schedule you have set. If you have any questions regarding any of this, or again, if you have a different version from Exchange than what I've covered, feel free to contact support. If you need contact details, you can find those under the website on infrascale.com/support. Thank you, and have a good day.